There it is.
Hello and welcome to Let's Drone Out. Tonight we are joined by everyone's favourite curry kitten.
Hello.
The man with the moustache.
Hello. Good evening.
And the lady with the he-wing and the sacrificial screwdriver. Caroline.
Hiya.
Hello. Hello.
Hiya.
You are our guest for tonight.
A guest.
Or maybe you might want to join the ranks of this bullshit show. This is bad enough that you watch it. You're subjected to it. I really want to know what the sacrificial screwdriver is. Curry, will you please or Caroline? I don't know. Yeah, it's your video. Can you show me?
Caroline should explain.
Yeah.
Well,
we
when you
Caroline leading the chat so much last time, we thought it was only fair and proper to get her on the show. So.
Almost got Curry to man-splain.
Caroline has flown more than all of us combined.
And if you want to cut a channel, you heat it up and you just melt the channel you need.
I'd melt the screwdriver. It would just melt out the handle and then straight into my crotch. I've already burnt myself. Look at that. That's horrible, isn't it? That is a gross thumb.
No, and I picked this up as a great tip because previously on my wings, I would always have to cut a line with a scalpel and then I'd cut another line close to it and then I'd jam my wires in. It'd get them in eventually, but cutting a decent sized channel is much more useful, I think, on a wing like that.
I went so far as to buy a Dremel routing tool, which I've got around here somewhere in my just colossal piles of crap. Yeah, back there is a Dremel routing tool for that purpose.
Yeah, I bought a tile cutter adapter thing for a Dremel.
Well, I turned my head mic out.
Yeah, I weren't. I was not. I'm not being brave enough to use it. The Dick Ripper 3000. Maybe I should give it a go, but
you sound like someone who needs a leather apron. I just imagine, like, for lots of things that Jack does, he probably wants, or maybe some kind of bomb diffusal outfit.
Do you want to see how much of a nonce I look in my safety goggles?
Go ahead, Caroline. So your sacrificial screwdriver, how do you heat it up that it's hot enough to do the job, not so hot that it destroys the wing or the metal bit falls out the plastic handle? Quite stylish, Jack. How do you know when it's the right temperature? How do you...
It's called guessing.
Fire
on hand.
Yeah, look, Caroline.
Because you only heat the tip.
Our audio listeners.
Yeah, if you only heat the tip, then the handle doesn't get hot enough to melt the handle.
Or buy a wooden-handled screwdriver. I might give you
this is a freebie sacrificial screwdriver that came in a kit. So yeah, that would do.
Smart. So Jack, for our audio listeners as well, is also sporting a pair of very stylish safety glasses.
Yeah, by Bolet. I think they're French.
They do snowboarding glasses and things, don't they?
I've got no idea.
Yeah, they do goggles for winter sports, I think. So might we infer that you're about to do something risky and perhaps involving fire for our listeners? Or no?
I can get the old woofler out, wherever that's gone.
He's never used safety goggles in the past.
Well, yeah, he wears glasses anyway, so...
I have one of those fireworks downstairs.
Ah.
Well...
I have just the one.
Emergency fire. Well, we'll wait until we get our accounts in order before we ask anyone to use an emergency firework. Things are on a cessation until we figure out what we're supposed to do to keep the taxman happy.
I know. Don't say that out loud.
Well, that's why we're not. That's why we're not. We are behaving ourselves.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, true.
And
we're not accepting any money.
Yeah, no longer. Yeah, we don't want our arseholes fisted. Yeah. That's one for the editor to edit out. I found the woofler. Do you want me to go get some woofle juice?
Oh yeah, do the woofle juice. I noticed Big Clive had a woofle explanatory video this week.
Yeah. That's where it came from.
I think it worked better with hydrogen.
Most things do.
Even more deadly than it already doesn't need to be.
But that way, the bubbles, because they're lighter, they'll go up, and you get a
Ooh,
nice
yeah.
big column. They won't flop
Oh,
over.
yeah.
So you can get a nice
Well, have you
column of bubbles.
experimented with
Bad
different
influence.
thicknesses of detergent? Like we could, see what foams best. I feel we haven't really strayed too far from the default. We could probably experiment a little bit with Mr. Woofler.
While Jack's finding the Woofle juice, shall I give? I've got a lovely feel-good story concerning RC that was told to me by my friend Bob, who lives in Florida, and he said he saw this on the news, which I thought was sweet, because we always talk about like RC's bad and they're all going to get us, and it kills babies all the time and stuff. But here's a good story. So this is the setup. There was this man and woman, high school sweethearts, somewhere in Indiana, and they literally go their separate ways at high school graduation. He goes off into the military. She does something somewhere else. They both have the families, get married, they have children, etc., etc. 50 years on, the guy is now 72. He's obviously retired. He's sort of back in Indiana, and he's an RC plane flyer. And he was flying his RC plane, little polystyrene model, and he lost it. And of course, my first thing would say was, "Where's your lost model beeper? You should have got that back." But he did one good thing. He wrote his phone number on the wing. And a couple of months later, he gets a phone call from a lady who said her granddaughter and great-granddaughter found this plane, and this was the number it had on it, and is it yours? And it turned out, after they talked to each other, that this is the man and his high school sweetheart, and suddenly they're back together because of an RC mishap. And I don't know if this is luck would have it, but somewhat poignantly, they both lost their respective partners within a month of each other about a year and a half previously. It's like, oh, we're both free and single, so they got back together. That's the
were flying over the wood, and then they lost them, and they didn't have lost model
Hollywood
beepers
needs
on
a
either.
script for that one.
But that's my feel-good story. I thought that was very sweet.
Excellent.
Sweet. Interesting coincidence as well.
Mm.
And is Jack still looking? I will share this as well, just quickly, because we asked very, very quick comment last week was about what's your favorite video from the week, and I couldn't find it, and then I looked for it earlier, and then I found a follow-up video they did, and it's possibly one of the ones I talked about previously. If I just find this one here, and it is. Let's just mute this quickly.
Oh, they're good. That was good.
It's this one. So this is by a group called The Crew, who do this fantastic close proximity chasing on a wing.
Rue something, Michael Scott Rue or something.
Oops, it's just gone funny. Yeah, that's him, and the guy flying it. I just wanted to point out, because it's only got like 400 views or something, but I think the piloting skills in this one is fantastic, because you get so much turbulence on these wings, especially flying them low and through stuff. And this is absolutely sort of no fear stuff. He's going
the one
through.
Where he's like flying through buildings, and he goes under some little tunnels, and
this is
it's actually being followed by a quad. Yeah.
So you follow it for the quad for the nice stable footage, but he's going so low, and he's just going straight through buildings. And
you can see it's like a circuit they do. So they know the course exactly.
Yeah.
You would need to.
You've got it. And this is how I used to fly when I did chase flights with my friend. We always used to come up with a circuit, and we'd fly it and get faster and faster.
This bit,
and that bit's amazing. And he does it completely then at night as well. And this is called a right wing hawk moth. So the actual wing itself is basically like a big load of holes. All those holes in there, you can basically fill with LEDs and make it completely light up during the night.
It does look wonderful.
There was another one he did
casting on the road. It's great.
Yeah, there was another one he did where part of the circuit is actually flying down through the entrance of basically a shopping mall. So right down the side of it.
Yeah.
And that ended up with a crash into it, but it was worth it.
I think so. I'd love to see some of the DVR from this to see how it looks from the wing point of view. I do notice they're going at dusk and at night, and that's pretty much the best time day you're going to get, because the wind tends to drop right down at that time, and you get really nice,
The light looks
peaceful
best as well.
conditions.
And the LEDs look good.
And the LEDs look fantastic, don't they? I especially like the
find my
bright one,
propellant.
the back that looks like rockets.
That's okay.
You can't find it.
I can't find the propellant.
So in other news,
You got any hydrogen?
No, I don't.
Water, 2 electrodes, power.
I was going to go videos of the week. The one that caught my attention was from Alka Motors. We're all familiar with ESC beeps, but this guy actually managed to program 8-bit audio. He programmed it so that ESC
Shelby
speaks
Bowl,
and
that's
says
the guy
1, 2,
flying it.
3, 4.
Yeah.
Pretty neat. Jack,
Oh, it's up the 8 seconds of clip.
whose microphone is doing the
Probably.
weird buzz?
Probably me.
Don't think it's me. Yeah, it's you, Jack.
Any better?
No.
We can put up with it.
He did. Yeah, it sometimes touches it on some ground changes or something. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently the reason it's not used a lot is because there's not enough space to store audio in most of the ESCs. You only get like 1 second, but because of the chip shortage, people are moving to different chips, so there might be enough space to actually store like I'm using full-on audio clips on ESCs soon. I thought that'd be a giggle.
That's useful.
Yeah, totally useless. But I want to see Amiga trackers come back reinvented with a 4-note polyphony on electronic speed
Oh,
controllers.
that one does the Star Wars entrance. Do 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 do.
Yeah, that's fun.
And each of the motors has a different track.
I don't know. Call me old-fashioned, but I'm pretty happy with just the and to count for the things. Only because, like, as fun and cool as it is to play music, it's like, okay, I just have to wait for the track to be over before I can take off now.
It's very
going
quick.
for
I
the,
did
like,
have a problem on the bench where I was troubleshooting stuff and it was spending so long playing, I just had to change the melody so I could actually troubleshoot the problem without waiting for the startup tune to finish playing. That was a bit dumb. I'm still waiting.
Have I still got it?
No, it's cool now.
Whatever you think.
I think it just likes it when I touch it. I've got no idea what fixes
got a
that.
ground loop somewhere.
Yeah.
I've got a
So who's
ground
been
loop.
flying this week? Isn't that the question that always comes up?
Yes. I haven't.
What was that? Who's been flying?
Who's been flying this week? I haven't.
A little bit.
You haven't.
Just a little bit.
Not this week.
Not me.
How did you manage it?
Not this week. That's the thing. I couldn't
Me.
fly this week.
Mm.
It was just,
Easily. I just went out to the park and flew. Got a
oh,
micro. Yeah. Just a little 3S jobby. I took a couple of quads out and had a little rep around.
Nice.
All right. Yeah. When the sun was out for a brief spell, got out at lunch on Monday.
Yeah. It was a nice day today, but it was a little bit on the gusty side. But
It was a bit windy.
my
I've still been
fly-
stuck in bathroom hell this week. It's literally finished today. We have signed off and said we accept that the bathroom is finished. I will no longer have to stay in the house and communicate with bathroom
Grunty
accessories and which ways they want tiles up and down and things.
I can't think of anything worse for you.
It was not good.
Yeah, I didn't find much actual use for ESC tunes, but there was one use I did find after petitioning the guy who did Blue Jay. He did this PR where it would play the startup melody if you set the beacon to a specific value. And then I loaded up Rick Astley as the startup tune, and you could land in front of people and flip the beeper on, and then Rick roll them, and then take off and fly away.
Oh
If you
man,
can
that's
call that
awesome.
use.
that is the best use of it.
That was the only use.
It's a shame we can't assign like a couple of tracks to it, so you could answer questions like yes, no, and and like communicate. Because obviously you got audio that on analog,
And you've got
that you send back.
you've got 5 tones you can pick from. So technically, you could do it if you only had enough storage space. But it just becomes like, why the hell am I implementing this? If you talk to the ESC, the ESC authors, developers, they there's more important things they've got to worry about.
Maybe you should just strap like a walkie-talkie to it and sort of shout at people.
Yeah.
More another frequency you're taking up.
Yeah, you just get a radio on like 433.
There's
chase joggers around, just say run faster, that sort of thing.
Well, do you remember when radio's audio first appeared? And radios didn't come with like proper speakers; they just had a beeper instead of audio playback.
What, for Morse code?
No, I mean just beeps when it turns on, and
like
lost it beeps instead of speaking.
Well, the good old 9X did that, and I remember having beeps for loss of telemetry, and then my Fat Shark started beeping, and I was like, hang on, I'm trying to count the beeps here, and there's too many going on to try and figure out what's going on.
So there is a board that you can get which is used to like add audio playback to radios that don't have audio, and it's a little microcontroller with an SD card and a speaker output, and you can connect it to an amplifier. Some of them come with amplifiers, right? That jobby, and you can add audio to it. And I've got one of these as a standalone. And I've got it so when I set power to it, it just starts playing the audio clip. So I've thought about putting one of them on a quad and put it to like a pin IO or like a servo output, and then you could toggle a speaker based on that.
I don't know. It might be funny to like get a stick extended on the front of your drone with like a Mars bar on it, and then chase around joggers with the thing like, "Come on, run!" Yeah. Be quite funny. Rotoright's next project episode, drone with megaphone. I know.
The FIMI X8 2022 version actually has a speaker. You can use your phone, talk to it, and it will relay it to the drone.
That's nice. That's asking for abuse.
Really pointless.
Wait, can you hear what the other people are saying though? You wouldn't be able to, would it?
Yes, it's a two-way. Say, Stephen. Snap.
Oh, yeah. I love that radio. Yeah, the lovely yellow radio, the yellow OLED. So, what's my favorite go-to micro? Ages ago, I built this using a pickle frame from Drone Club, and it's got a really old nameless RC AIO, one of the really early ones that doesn't enter DFU mode properly, and 1104 motors to be an oddball, the Emax Savant props, and I love flying it, and it seems to be indestructible, touch wood, I'm sure it isn't, but that's fun to fly, but the camera's a bit bobbins. My latest creation, which I've been doing most flying on, is this Alpha 115 cheapo frame from Banggood or AliExpress that I've managed to get a little GPS unit mounted on the front. So it looks just like a smaller version of a 5-inch, and it's got a little Ratel in there, Cadex Ratel, and it's got 1202.5 motors. And the tiniest GPS receiver and everything in there. So that's my go-to at the moment, because I keep telling myself that I'm going to test GPS rescue. Except whenever I get to the field, I just think, screw it. And GPS takes too long to lock onto the satellite, so I just go and fly, and then I never get round to testing GPS. What sort of GPS is that? Is that like a Beta 180 or something?
Yeah.
No, it's way smaller. So you don't appreciate the scale of this frame. That's a 115 mil frame.
It's tiny.
So that is not a Beta 180. That is a 12 millimeter active antenna. So the Beta 180 is a 23 mil antenna. That's like a quarter of the size of the 180, and it's got a separate PCB that does the GPS, nuzzled up there by the camera. It's not picking it up particularly well, but there's a board at the front of the quad on the left-hand side of that image, which is the actual GPS PCB, and it's got a separate active antenna. And it works. I managed to get 8 satellites inside, but I've had to screw around a lot to try and get a clean signal, which has contributed to my inability to test GPS rescue.
You need to do it, man. You need to be brave.
Yeah. There's been so much work put into it. I've got to test it. It's just when you get out to the field and you're like, the weather's nice and I should test this thing. And then you just like realize that you've ripped 2 batteries and you've run out of time. You didn't get around to testing things. You're enjoying yourself, which is the whole point of it.
Was it you, Wayne, that was wrapping the cables in tin foil and putting grounds on them and everything?
Yeah, I had I had this. What was it? It was
Not
oh yeah,
Dragon Link,
on
is
my
it?
no. It was on the little. I forgot what the name of the thing is now.
Just wasn't picking up sats.
Yeah, I changed over the flight controller to this Rush FPV one, and it just wiped the satellite reception out completely. And I watched a bunch of videos about like this, and I've had it before where you've had to move the antenna around and stuff. But someone said about like wrapping it, not just wrapping it in copper foil, but then grounding the copper foil and soldering it in, and that worked. It sounded. I was like, I don't believe this. I did it.
Faraday shielded it.
Yeah.
I put it out, and it worked perfectly. And it's like, wow, I am a believer. It worked for me. So yeah, I did it, and it worked. So you should try it. Apparently, the grounding's the important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, ye of little faith. How was I watched your ELRS 5-channel update setup rig. I really enjoyed your test rig, Curry, of
No
5
expense
servos. Yeah, I know.
They don't match, but I found 5.
5 servos on a board. That'll do.
That's it.
That'll do.
That'll do.
That was classy. That was.
And as Stephen put it, if you wanted to do something bigger, you can just put 2 receivers on and remap all the channels. But I think you'd want to do that if you're really desperate to fly, because I still think, although it's pretty bomb-proof, putting 2 receivers on a plane equals I'm adding complexity to it when I don't need to.
Sure.
When most things won't need it, because if you're building a new plane, you're going to have INAV, and then you can just use a regular receiver and CRSF. It's only if you've got some legacy planes. Looking at you, Mini Talon, which happens to have a vector on it. Yeah,
and the point where you're like, I've got 1 servo left and no servo extensions. How do I solve this?
That's it. But I really like the Vector autopilot. It's a really nice system, which was by Eagle Tree, who don't exist anymore. No. Yeah,
gone.
Vector wasn't Eagle Tree.
Yeah, it was.
Was it not?
I think it was. Pretty sure it was.
Eagle
Not convinced on that.
What's an Eagle Tree?
Look it up.
I'm showing my
Eagle Tree was the company that made lots of
My Fly Dream.
FPV
stuff. Did the Vector? Thought the Vector was My Fly Dream.
No, they made one called the My Fly Dream. Literally called the My Fly Dream AP.
They're very similar, weren't they? And colour.
The fancy ones that did like auto landing and would like show you graphics of the runway.
I had I've got a My Fly Dream
it's the Vector. Yeah,
and it's quite different, and it was very ugly as an OSD, but people swore by them about being really, really good for autopilots. This is all like doesn't come up anymore.
INAV.
Back like 8-9 years ago, before the likes of INAV, you used to have like different manufacturers coming out with different sort of autopilots for things.
Eagle Tree, Eagle Eyes.
Yeah, that's the Eagle Eyes. This was one of the de facto things for antenna tracking. Are you using it for antenna tracking?
Oh, it's an bloody. What is
that VAS board as well? Yeah,
that's a serious antenna setup.
Carry kit sticker on it and everything.
It's got a carry kit. Yeah.
Are those the antennas on the back of it?
That's what. These are the receivers.
Okay, no, I was looking at the other side
this
of it.
This is 1.2, yeah.
Really giant patch antenna.
Crosshair.
Yeah.
And then the other one's on the Omni. And they both go into the Vector, which determines the best signal.
Wow. That's a lot of hardware.
Not proper diversity. Was they ready-made RC receivers where they had to put some sort of filter in them or something? So it means that they cost a lot more.
They're Banggood receivers and they work just as well.
Oh, fair enough. I guess. No, a bit heavy on the goggles, yeah. What is that?
1.3 gigahertz.
There's only a few
Faction did actually do a
1.3
right? Internal receiver.
But how good is that going to be?
Looking at 2 coat hangers on the top of your goggles, effectively, for what it looked like. But
there's a GIF that appears on the ELRS forums of a guy doing neck workouts. It instantly makes me think of that when people talk about the 1.3 gig setups. You know, working out that neck muscle.
Such amazing range on it, though. It's like, I
Yeah.
mean, that box can go for about what, 50 kilometers if you
Easy.
had something that could go that far.
Run out of battery.
And not enough bandwidth to actually do like an NTSC or PAL signal, though.
Oh yeah, full PAL signal with sound.
But, I mean, the actual bandwidth that you get like isn't enough to convey like a normal amount of color. Really?
Yeah, it's a good picture. Excellent picture.
I mean, you get something that is officially a PAL signal out the other end. I just thought you had to like sacrifice the actual like
Interlace.
TV line. No, the TV line sort of.
No, I just run normal
detail
red tail
that you
camera through it. I get an excellent picture.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what you used to fly quite a lot on analog. If you just go back on Caroline's channel and check the DVR, it's pretty nice. In the olden days, there was a little bit more of a difference when you looked at 5.8 versus 1.2, 1.3, but it's harder to tell now, especially with these cameras.
And the thing is with 5.8 is just the switching, isn't it? Of the frequency, and that's why they burn so red hot. I believe. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, it's also that 1.3 is just longer wavelength. It travels better.
Yeah.
4 times the distance on the same power.
Yeah, and better penetration, and longer.
It actually hugs curves and hills. So you can actually
go around.
You can go around a hill a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So you don't fail safe when you come up to a hill.
As much. Unless you go backwards, of course.
Exactly. Unless
or
you
the
go
hill
backwards.
jumps out on you. Yeah.
That's what Jack does. Reversing into a hill, that's his speciality.
Yeah, that's it. With a wing next, I just got to figure out how to do that. Caroline, how did you get into the hobby originally?
God. Many years ago, I decided I wanted to fly. I've always liked flying. And my kids were young. So I bought a multiplex Cub, not the fun Cub, but the Cub, and flew it on nickel metal hydride batteries. Taught myself to fly using that. Then gave it up for the family. And now I'm older and divorced.
Your plane instead.
Time's my own. So I thought, right, I'm going back to it.
Oh, excellent.
Nickel metal hydride, people. That's what old drill batteries and what cordless phones used. And
I moved on from NiCads to metal hydride.
So what was it like going from nickel metal hydride to like the LiPo era when everything is?
Oh, it's completely different. Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't weigh as much. Just instant draw power. You know, you can just loop the loop whenever you want.
Was it a struggle to get takeoff then? You really had to worry about the launches a lot if you didn't have the raw power.
Nothing went fast.
Right.
The best one I had was I had a Mustang that I built, and that was running on 7S. Remember, 1.2 volts NES.
Right. Okay.
And that used to fly quite well. I'd get about 5 minutes flight on that.
1.2 by 7, so that's
was it all brushed as well?
That was brushed motor. Yeah.
Wow.
That's what I mean. It is prehistoric
with gearing and everything.
And how long did it take you to charge the packs as well? Because they're really slow, aren't they? Nickel metal hydride.
You could charge them at 2C. So it took a while.
Oh my god! I died.
So you missed out the nitro era, though.
I never went nitro. Well, when I was really, really, really young, I managed to save up pocket money, and my brother and I bought a control line, Cox's 0.49 Cox. It had to be a Hawker Hurricane. Got that going. One loop, crashed, destroyed. It was awful. That was it, and that was it. Never again.
That's a bummer. You think control line looks easy because you're effectively just doing things on a string, but it could go anywhere, couldn't it? I guess.
Yeah, but
within that string.
these things were plastic models with a 0.49cc glow plug motor. They were so underpowered. You were lucky if you even got it moving.
It didn't melt.
And then the whole thing just exploded in a shower of plastic.
Mm-hmm. That was it.
Nice.
That was the end of it.
Oh, the excitement.
Yeah, that rather put me off.
Yeah,
all that stuff.
It's a lot of building and not much flying.
Well, it wasn't any building. It was just buy it. There was a little shop down Catherine Road. I saw it in the window. I thought, yeah, we're going to have that. And when I must have been
what was the
12.
What was the first plane to get you back into the new era of flying then?
Oh, back into what? Into lipos and everything.
Resurgence.
That was a Mustang again, but it was a flight test. Just built it.
Oh,
I ran it on 3S. Little foam board Mustang, just a little mini one. So it was only about that big.
The tiny series.
The mini ones, yeah.
Yeah.
So what did it feel like to get back into the hobby after that then? Get that plane in the air? Or
Just to see it flying was amazing. In fact, first time it flew, it wasn't me flying it because I didn't trust myself. I can't remember. I think I made the Cub foam flight test. In fact, there's a video of the very first flight of the flight test Cub on my channel. It took off, it flew up, it disappeared. That was it. I never found it again.
No way. Oh,
yeah.
God. I remember when their podcast used to be really
so
good.
Nice.
Yeah, and we were talking about gliders and like they flew, and there was two exactly the same, and they fly and come in for a perfect land, and then the other guy walked to it, the same one. They realised they'd been looking at the wrong flying the wrong plane. I was like, oh my God, I live in fear of that. But you never found the Cub ever again. Just disappeared.
No, I made that up. In the end, I built another one. I did such a good job on it as well. It's beautiful.
Oh, no.
I mean, in some ways, that was a success.
It was just flying across, and then I got totally disorientated because it was so far away, and it went down and then up again, and gave me hope, and then disappeared. And I walked all around the road, so I could never find it.
Oh dear.
Claimed by the trees.
I'd still class it as success because it was flying, unlike me and my first plane having the ailerons reversed and just kept putting in. I'm putting in the turn and it keeps getting worse every time for some reason. I can't work that out.
Mm-hmm.
So Stephen is someone who's trying to get into fixed wing. What's your suggestion for his first go? Unless you've already bought one now, Stephen. What's your situation? Oh, come on then. Spill the beans.
So I've been looking at this flying fish thing, which is either Atom RC or rebranded with eSheen, and it's a little twin motor thing, and it comes with all the electronics. There's an FPV version, but I declined to get the FPV version because I think the FPV kit was a bit pants, and I've got like loads of spare analog stuff, so I'll just pop something in. But yeah, I'm gonna try that just with a PWM receiver to start with, and probably quickly move it over to iNav and try that.
Oh, JetX model, somebody mentioning. Yeah, great fun.
I know, John. I
little pills that never lit properly and just went fucked.
What's that?
They were like little solid propellant you put in a little can, tied it up, and you had a fuse that went through the nozzle. It was a little rocket motor, refillable rocket.
I got out when there was sun.
Nice.
Oh, say what you see. Stephen in the middle of a
flying
field.
Around my head in the middle of a field, not near anyone, totally obeying the law, just
doing the wide leg stance.
So
yeah, I don't want to fall over stance.
What's the 0 milliwatt? Should that be your ELRS?
Yeah, so that's supposed to be the transmit power, and I left it on hybrid switch mode, and it only reports the power if you set it to wide switch mode, which I noticed after this. And can't seem to get any GPS satellites, which I seem to have put down to it not liking running at 5 volts. When I ran it off the 4-volt 5, it was really happy and gave me 6 satellites indoors. But for some reason, just didn't want to run this time. I don't know why. So
maybe you need some copper tape.
It's my unsuccessful GPS test. Well, everything's like crammed up.
It is a very wide leg stance. Are you always thinking I'm gonna fly between my legs or something?
Well,
I actually did fly between my legs. But,
do you play your bass guitar with the same stance?
Well,
and a low slug guitar.
I think this is the second flight, and because I was doing lots of loops, I sometimes feel like I might fall over, and so that's my kind of deterrent to not fall over. I try and adopt the most stable posture possible, so when I do flips, I don't end up lying back on the ground, slightly concussed.
Yeah, it's the Margaret Thatcher power stance. So that people can imagine her with big testicles.
When we went to the towers,
pineapples.
You saw me. I was lying down. That's the best way to avoid feeling wobbly if I'm flying lots of crazy acro. I just lie down.
He was literally reclined in the dirt.
I just bring a chair.
I need to issue a challenge for you then. Everyone can do this if they want to. They have to fly their acro things whilst running across the field with their goggles on. I think that would be a fun experiment.
I will fucking die.
No.
They tried to get people to do that.
We can't even get Tony to stand up, let alone walk.
They were giving out prizes at FPV Drone Fest, and the prize was that you had to walk to a flag. And they set up like 6 flags across the field. You had to get to a flag wearing your goggles, and all you would see was an acro drone flying around the field, and you had to figure out who you were and which direction you needed to head in with your goggles on. And you didn't even get to point the drone in the right direction.
Someone walked into the railing, the fence.
Oh yeah,
of the
more than one person, I'm sure.
Yeah, like split their face open, and it was like,
no, I'm
fine. I don't need A&E, and it's like, oh god. It's like
I started off, walked about 3 yards, and thought, I don't want the prize that much.
Yeah, you let the side down. I was hoping.
I did really.
Okay. But the problem is, if you do go to A&E, they asked you what you were doing at the time of the accident, and you'd have to tell them.
I'm masturbating a lot.
I fell off my skateboard when I'm 49 or something. That's embarrassing enough.
Oh, is this the park
Skating
incident?
Is definitely
The what?
He said skating's definitely cooler. And I said, was this the park incident where you fell off the skateboard?
It was down a hill, but yeah.
What is the bot grinder power stance?
I don't know.
It's pretty similar to what you do, Stephen.
Oh right, yeah.
But he always lands
the
at his
stance that
feet.
Requires a guitar.
He has to land at his feet.
You should try and land at your feet. I think that's fine.
He likes to sort of land actually on the foot.
Talking of bot grinder, in a handy segue.
Oh,
did everybody see his video about trying to build a drone park?
Yes,
I thought this was quite interesting.
Capital idea. I admire his enterprise.
I wish I could travel to Philly.
And the idea that you could buy 10 acres for about $70,000 anywhere around here would be just staggering. Because like one postage stamp of space is that much.
Fairly modest accommodation is able to have the means to just go and buy land. I mean, Christ, you'd need to be some kind of pony club level twat in this country to be able to go and just buy tracts of land. It's just not affordable at all. That's pretty incredible.
No, it's completely impossible. And any land you can buy is basically swamp, and you're not allowed to do anything with it. And there's already public rights of way to do.
That's not just for the land, though. That's for the land, some buildings on it, and everything else. Yeah, it's the whole build. He's guessing about 70,000. So I don't know what he's buying land for.
For you guys in the US, and you want a drone park, check this out. I hope he can do it. I think it'd be amazing if he can, and I hope he gets to do what he gets to do. I just wish we had that sort of thing going on. There's more anti-drone parks than drone parks around here.
Really? Yeah. I saw a sign get posted, like my wife was at some park and said, "No flying in royal parks," and she asked why. What's the problem with that? And I had to say,
ducks.
Health and safety.
Karens and dog walkers, really, isn't it?
Well, no dogs off leads in parks.
Well, yeah, and how often do people break that rule, right? There's supposed to be half of our local park that dogs are not supposed to be off their leads, and yeah, they always are, because they always run over to me when I'm flying.
Yeah, and they complain about the drone, so I can disable my drone. Can you disable your dog at a distance?
Yeah, right.
Yes, I've got an electric
it's
collar.
about to eat a lipo, so it's going to disable itself if it's not careful.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I've certainly had more damage caused to my stuff by dogs than me cause any damage to anything else. Most because dog walkers don't have control of their dogs. So I've got my tarpaulin laid out and my stuff on it, because generally it's wet, and a wet dog comes over and starts slobbering all over my stuff, and then generally, starts doing weird things to me and whatever, and some women saying things like, "Could you hover your drone over here so I can get my dog?" It's like, it's not that sort of drone. It doesn't hover very well because I can't see where you are.
There is one rather amicable lady who quite enjoyed the fact that the dog would run after the drone and get some exercise without her having to sprint up and down. But then it got so obsessed with it that I had to land it, and she was like, "Please, sorry, please just don't take off until I've managed to get her away," because the giant husky who's quite strong, and she's like, "If she really goes for it, she pulls me over, so can you just know?"
Oh dear.
Husky across the field.
Sled dogs, aren't they? They're designed to pull you about, like, you know.
Yeah, I've had the same thing where people love it because their dogs get to run around, but then I'm out of battery and I have to land, which means I have to go over there, get the dog away, and then come back really quick and just sort of splat down close to me and grab it quickly, because the dog is like 70 miles an hour, full whack, coming. I'm going to get this thing this time. It's landed.
The leg dive where you like pile it into your own shin and just grab it as quickly as possible.
It's tough going.
So didn't Andy RC get like Dalmatian knocked him flying? But sorry, carry on.
Oh, we can't speak. Of course, we'd love to have Andy on to tell us about his dogging stories in future, but we'll get to that another time.
He does park himself near the bin every time.
I'd like to point out I did not say
not a good choice, I'd have thought, given the context. yeah, Jack would like to point out for editorial balance that he did not, in fact, mention dogging.
Yeah, I did not. I was not the one who mentioned that. Sorry, carry on.
Richard Warwick
in Germany, that's walking your dog.
That's what I was.
That's what they call walking the dog.
Did anyone hear the Radio 2 Jeremy Vine show bit on the BMFA 100-year anniversary? Apparently, Vernon Kay flies RC planes. I don't know who Vernon Kay is, but
he's some sort of
Radio 1 DJ.
Yeah,
he's a guy off the telly, isn't he?
I have no idea.
God,
I don't listen to Radio 1. They never played enough heavy metal.
And he's like, he's pretty much. I think he's done quite
long-faced guy.
Vernon Kay, here's some trivia, is married to Tess Daly, who is on that Strictly program on BBC One.
The one that stands like that all the time.
There you go.
I've been forced to watch a few episodes of that against my inclination.
That's the next build.
Armaton, a beaver.
Beaver.
Yeah.
Are you going to shave it?
I don't know. It's certainly not going to be hairy.
No.
But look at the instructions.
Smooth. I think you should put hair on it. Flock your
instructions
beaver.
With
actually comes with a frame with instructions. I've never seen it before.
They don't just give you 25 screws and a bunch of assorted bits of garden and go garden.
Good
carbon
luck.
And
garden.
Yeah. Even the Chris Rosser stuff, which is supposed to be professional, doesn't come with instructions. I'm pretty sure I've mounted some bits.
Well, big exception. They tell you what bits you need and everything.
Ooh, this is pro.
It's almost worthwhile just for that.
I know.
Because I have had some occasions where frames come with a bunch of screws, and I'm like, are these to go into the standoffs, or are these supposed to be for the stack? And they're quite short for stack screws, but they're quite long for standoff screws. And I'm never just try and then you get it like, so there's 2 mil poking out, and you realise you've run out of thread, and you're like, yeah, that was supposed to be for the standoff, and you have to take the thing out. 30 seconds of feverish wrenching.
Oh, John H. I bet that was some serious damage.
Painful.
Cow trampled my expensive slope saw a few years ago.
Talk to me about cows. One ate my camera and stood on my little tiny wing.
Yeah.
DLGs
are the worst. They're worth loads.
Did you get to see the inside of a cow?
No. He only ate the camera, not the FPV transmitter. So I didn't get the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a session 5 that went right through.
Yeah. Last week we were talking about you, and you messaged in the chat that you were flying near some, is it viaduct or something, and you got shouted at. Would you like to tell us what they said? What happened in your defence? Defend yourself, Caroline.
Well, I checked the flying app first. There was no warnings.
No,
no notifications. Nobody had put up a thing saying I'm going to fly here, so I did. And then I flew, and then he turns up and goes, "Have you got permission to fly around here?" I go, "It's open." He goes, "Oh no, it's my day today. I've been paid to come down here from Aberdeen to film this." I said, "Well, it's not on the I can't remember what it's called. Drone safety, drone advisory app. I can never remember the name of it, but the UK one." And so he calmed down when he saw it was when he had a look at the plane and saw how it was like homemade, and he was quite impressed, and he actually went away smiling in the end. But
what was he?
Food for thought.
Pardon,
was it just a DJI? What was he flying? Was it just a DJI?
He was flying an Inspire 2.
Ooh.
So he probably wouldn't have even noticed you were flying. Yeah.
Yeah. Drone assist.
Drone assist. That's the one. Motors.
Oh, are you answering John's question, Caroline? Have you got AC and motors for the frame? Do you want to lift what?
ELRS.
What's the KV? What's the flight controller?
The KV is Zing 2207 1855 KV.
6S, I reckon.
6S, yeah. It's flying a Mamba stack, F7 stack.
Nice.
I'm right there.
Are the Zing motors nice, or are they just heavy as all balls?
These are nice. These are nice.
They're not heavy.
These ones are titanium shaft.
Do they just look big? They look like
the Zing 2207.
And it's running a Mamba.
Normal. They're totally normal motors.
Mamba 50 amp 4S.
Nothing particularly unusual.
I like them. I like the Mambas. They come with nice long leads.
I'm becoming a little bit more discerning after kind of having a peek behind the scenes, because a lot of these manufacturers, after spending some time trying to figure out what was going on with some of these odd products, that a lot of them don't make their own kit. And so you've got people like iFlight and Diatone and T-Motor who just kind of buy other people's boards and put their names on it. And I have had some odd experiences with iFlight stuff where it's just not been... It's serviceable. It's just not great. Like, I've got an iFlight controller which causes me some grief because all the 5-volt pads are 4-volt 5.
Not good.
And they've managed to wire it in a way where if you have GPS connected, it stops the board going into DFU mode. Because it's just not...
Why?
That's the.
Yes.
And it's
Mambo
got
Oh,
it's got the
that's
Bluetooth on it as well,
F722.
or Wi-Fi. It's got the Wi-Fi. Is it Bluetooth
So-
or Wi-Fi?
You know how when you upgrade a flight controller, it goes into this DFU
Wi-Fi.
mode? I always think of it as don't F up, but it's something else completely, except I can't remember it.
Device upgrade flash or something, isn't it? Flash upgrade.
That sounds
That'd
much
be
more
duff
likely.
mode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm still sure it's don't F up, but anyway.
yeah.
It's the bootloader, basically. It goes
Yeah.
into that, and then it senses commands to tell it to write stuff, and it listens to that, and it goes and does it. Well, the trouble is with some flight controllers, if you've got a GPS on there, it's supposed to listen to commands that tell it to write stuff and get them from the USB port, which looks like a regular serial port to the flight controller. But if you've got a GPS connected to something else, it'll start spamming information out of the GPS port, and the flight controller gets confused and thinks that the GPS port is what it should be listening to for the flashing information. And
Is
if you haven't
that just a
designed-
matter of going into the port tab and turning that off? Maybe.
No, because it's happening at boot time. Like, this is not beta
No,
flight.
before flashing.
So if you disable the port in beta flight, the bootloader doesn't know the port's been disabled,
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
right? And so it's just a board design problem. Like, you can design boards so they don't do this, and the only one that does it is my iFlight board for some reason.
Homemade Lion pack.
Ooh,
That's a
Nice.
3S.
bit of a spot welder jobby.
Yeah,
Spot welder or
this is-
soldering?
Spot welder. And this is a 4,200 21,700 pack.
That's a chunker.
Yeah, it's for a plane.
Is
looks
the
robust.
spot welder a car battery or is it something else?
No,
Or
it's
is
a
it
proper one. It's not
Right.
one of the big ones, but it's got a couple of probes. You put it on, you charge it. It's got a 10,000 milliamp hour battery inside it.
I saw someone
'cause-
released a rechargeable spot welder recently.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with Type
basically
C
what
on
I've
it and
got.
stuff.
Hmm.
Is
That's
it
what
to
I've got.
hand or is it buried?
I can get it. It's just in the other room. I'll go grab it.
Or maybe a little listing. Yeah. Well,
Jack,
no, it's always nice
fill
to-
the air and tell us about spot welders. What makes for a good spot welder?
Current, voltage, and
Timing.
copper probes. Yep. And then just really brief.
seems to be-
Actually buying proper nickel strip and not just nickel coated strip. Apparently.
I would
And-
like to make my own battery packs, but I am a little bit scared of doing
And
so.
whatever you
It is a
do,
bit scary.
make sure that they're within 0 point something of a volt. I think that's the right. Listen to Big Clive; he's way smarter
Hmm.
because he said that he
There seems
put
to
like
be-
if you got a lower charge battery than a
Mhm.
full charge battery, he said
Comes with
even
probes.
small
Caroline is showing us something that looks like a kind of large phone charger sort of
It does.
battery pack.
yeah,
You
Except
just
it's
turn
got
it
a couple of quite chunky looking terminals on there, I guess.
yeah.
Oh yeah, they're really, really heavy duty.
What is that? Is that an
Okay.
RCA plug?
Big.
Big old
Nah.
bullet connector.
Yeah, like giant bullet connectors.
Giant bullet connector, right. There seem to be two designs. Some that had the two
That's-
leads tied together into a single kind of soldering gun, and some that you have two
Yeah.
probes and you kind of.
Yeah,
But I mean, look at the thickness of that cable.
That's
It's,
a chunky one.
but
yeah,
Yeah.
but
carry the amps.
yeah, but if
Got some
the
speaker cable like that upstairs.
if the batteries aren't of a similar charge, some serious
trouble.
voltage.
Well, it's the same
lower
as
amps run between the two. of
Yeah.
them and equals fire.
You want when you
The
put
thing
them
with
together, you
parallel
want them within 0.1 volts of each other.
0.1.
Yeah, 0.1. Yeah,
Hmm.
that
Because
was
it's just
pretty
going to
good.
current dump into the lower charge
Yeah.
cell otherwise, right?
My recommendation is don't do it.
650 amps output.
Yeah, don't do
Oh,
it
wait.
unless you
How do you
kind
charge
of
it?
know what
Is
you're
it
doing.
USB charge?
USB-C.
Yeah.
And you can do you don't find it runs out in the middle of a pack. It's
No,
good.
I did a 4S 4x4 2100.
And how do you trigger the the start of the solder, start of the weld?
You can have it on a foot pedal, which you don't
Oh,
bother.
there's a foot pedal, right? But
mainly when you make the contact, you put one down, then you put the other probe down, and when it sees the continuity, it fires.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
So you just go.
So don't just do that.
No.
Do you have to press quite hard for the penetration?
I found if you press really hard, it conducts too well, and it doesn't make a good spot weld.
Oh, really?
You wanna sort of press.
You want an arc
medium
gap.
hard. You get used to it, and then because you want it to spark a little bit,
right,
to actually melt the nickel.
Right.
If you press really hard, you don't get a good weld.
Do you have to do it a bunch of times to get it to stick, or just once?
I usually do it about 4 times on each one.
Is it more vaporized than?
Come to the mic, Jack.
It's welding rather than.
It's proper welding.
Yeah, not.
Oh yeah, they're properly welded. Yeah, I've got another 4-pack to make up soon.
You never know if some of it is like actually vaporizing briefly and then cooling back down, but it's certainly getting hot enough that there's fusing going on, right?
Tal's been saying that a lot of it is rare because it's nickel plated steel. No, you have to pay a lot of money to get the proper nickel 100%
full nickel strips, no messing around.
Yeah.
Right. You can tell the difference immediately. You can't spot weld the steel ones properly. But there, if you search around, you can find vendors in the UK that sell the nickel.
Yeah,
but it's quite expensive. I mean, I got 5 meters of it, and it cost me like £30.
Do you still have to solder on the balance connections and like the XT30 or XT60?
Yeah.
Okay,
so you can then solder.
You just solder it in between. Yeah, you don't solder on top.
So you put it on the strip, right? Okay, got it.
And the end, you make the end strips longer, so you can solder on the actual lead.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. And to make it longer, solder it on, fold it over.
Yep. Safety notice: do not be on fire. Be careful around busy roads. Don't take our advice. And
we strongly advise you to not
wear safety goggles.
Yeah.
When you're on fire, get the goggles.
Do not make your own batteries. It is dangerous, and fire may ensue. The
maker of this is Portable Spot Welder.
Is that it? Just
Kerpoo, that brand you know and love.
Kerpoo, yeah, like Sharpoo, but not quite.
Yeah, it just says 650
Chinese.
Yeah. So what's in there? You think just a couple of 18650s and a huge great?
No, it's a big old pouch cell.
A pouch cell. Right.
Yeah. And I think like a diode ladder or something.
Something like that. Doesn't say.
Few transistors.
I had another one that was useless. So I pulled it apart and there's a big old pouch cell in it. But this one's been really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, don't make batteries unless you've got somewhere that there's not.
You don't mind burning down.
Yeah.
I saw a couple that came out. There was one, I think Gal Kremer was doing some reviews on one, which had like an XT60 input, and the little welding pen came off an XT60 output.
Yeah, I saw that.
And all it was doing was like stepping up the voltage, I guess, or whatever.
No, voltage, 650 amps.
That's probably very low voltage then, I guess. It's just
output voltage 4.2 volts, so it basically short circuits the battery across it, basically quickly.
With I guess
Schottky diode.
Yeah, it works.
Cool. That's a neat idea.
Yeah, but be careful because it can go very wrong very quickly. And the trouble is with
them, I think.
The trouble is with like red hot plasma is the burns and flames.
The trouble with red hot plasma.
Yeah.
Can be a bit burny.
Yeah, vaporized bits of metal. I had one burn almost an entire bit of cable that was about, I don't know, it's about 2 centimeters. And it was the famous, I plugged in and Frank caught all the smoke and it just blew up. it was that one, and yeah, a piece of copper cable like got out of the silicone and then flew off and flew on my laptop and basically melted its way through my laptop. So it is, it like short circuit, making batteries, very dangerous. Do not recommend.
John H. That's why I'm making these, because you can't buy them easy in the UK. You can buy the cells easy enough.
Yeah.
So
you can't buy the packs easy.
I've got a 3S from AU line who make pretty terrible lipos, but they did an okay job with this. And I think I've showed it before. It's just got a silly little light up battery indicator on the side, so you can see how
like for your goggles.
Yeah, that's my goggles.
I just used the balance lead.
For a while, there were a couple of cheap brands that were doing ready-made cells that were quasi-reputable. There's GMB, and they did some kind of weaker ones that were using cheap 18650s, and they were very good value. If they're still around, the GMB kind of lower capacity lithium cells. I've got a 2S and a 3S, and I think they did all the way up to 6S. And you could also pay a bit more, and you could get cells that GMB had built out of Sony VTC6, which are decent 18650s. So those are the two I go for: AU line and GMB. Search them. You might have to get them on AliExpress and pay to either get proper shipping or some dodgy seller that just punts it to you and you hope it doesn't get stopped.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Remember
the place
the delivery.
Yeah, burns the delivery truck that has been delivered to you down.
Yeah, it's not the greatest of ideas. I think Banggood are shipping cells to the UK now, but you might have to pay through the nose. You never quite know whether it's going to be on or off with those guys.
Ugh, scary. All right.
Fogstar, that's it. Fogstar.
Yeah, Fogstar sell the raw
that's
cells.
That's where I get my cells from.
No worries.
And they're good. They're good cells.
Yeah, we can't stress enough. Don't be on fire. Rule 0.
From memory, there were two basic sort of manufacturers. You had the Sony, and their high discharge was the VTC6, and then you had the Samsung with INR somethings that were also high discharge.
I tend to get the Sony ones.
Yeah. Do not
be on fire.
Do not be on fire.
It is very cheap to buy the cells, but you're going to have to take a lot of precautions.
You need to buy fish paper. Fish paper. It's what you get on site when you make. It's insulating cardboard with sticky back. You wrap it round to protect them,
so they don't rub against each other.
So they don't rub it. Or I also double wrap them anyway.
I don't know. The casing is metal, right? The casing is the negative terminal on these cells. So you don't want to shred through the plastic wrap and let the.
I buy the plastic wraps and I put 2 of them on top.
That's probably something we should mention because I wasn't aware of this. But the can is always the negative side of the lithium, right? And so that whole can underneath that plastic layer is going to be connected to the cell, and you need to be really careful if you're building a pack out of them that you don't short stuff against the can.
Yeah, because it can be then use that whole battery as a shortcut to other cells.
Oh yeah,
to burn an
badness, or your frame, or
on fire ensues.
And the trouble is with those little metal can things is there's a lot of potential energy that wants to come out very quickly. And if you've ever watched a sort of like vehicle fire with some of those in there, it is like shotguns going off every time one of those. So just don't bother. Just pre-buy your. I can't stress that enough. Pre-buy your packs, whatever you do.
If you listen to this and you still want to make your own batteries, you either know what you're doing or you seriously don't, and you're too overconfident.
Keep them in the safety boxes when you're not making them.
Yeah. Caroline is a very dangerous woman. Do not mess with it.
Oh God, yeah.
Do not do it.
I store my batteries next to my litres of IPA.
Don't follow any of them. Don't mess. If you're gonna go,
here we are.
No alcohol.
People were saying about not being able to source these in the UK. Well, it just so happens that our wonderful friends over at Hobby
Richard
RC
Warwick.
do sell a 4S GMB 2500, which I was just saying, it's not the Sony one. It's a bit on the cheap and cheerful side, but if you just want long range and you don't want a high discharge, that's great bang for the buck. And I've flown quads on these, and yeah, you can get a good amount of flight out of them.
These ones I use in the small planes. They're 10 amp max discharge, but they're 3,500 milliamp hours. Whereas this is 30 amp max discharge.
Nice. All right, shall we call it there? I think that's all we got time for. It's Caroline, it's been great having you on.
Well, thank you.
It's always a pleasure. You have been listening to Let's Drone Out. Please don't make your own batteries. That's an crazy, insane thing to do.
And
go to Hobby RC, join our Discord. There is a discount code for there. I will read it out just this once. We're not sponsored or affiliated by Hobby RC, but I give you the code,
NMS8ERGP.
I don't know how. Right, that was September, so it might be expired, that one.
Yeah. Mike Tango Sierra Foxtrot 23 Tango. So yeah, get 5% off. We're not sponsored by them. Mike hates social media and thinks this is the worst show in the world. But yeah, buy batteries instead of making them. You've been joined by everyone's favourite Curry Kitten.
Goodbye.
The power stance himself, Stephen.
Cheers, bye.
And the don't store your IPA next to your batteries. What is wrong with you, Caroline?
Bye.
You've been listening to Let's Drone Out. Thank you. Good night. Thank you for everyone who tuned in.
Thank you to our wonderful Patreons. Thank you to our guest, Caroline. Thank you, everyone.
Yep. And
cheers.
If you're listening to this on iTunes, we are live every Thursday at 8 p.m. till 9 p.m. UK time. And don't forget, I think next week the clocks go back and Rule 0 don't be on fire. Yep. Don't do what Caroline does. She is deeply disturbed to be doing that. Thank you. Good night.
Yeah.